Hello, I'm Biz Coach Steve Feld, and welcome to Biz Coach and Coffee. My goal is to stop business owners from suffering entrepreneurial depression and start making running their businesses much easier. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to crack 7 figures without burning themselves out. And today we have another fantastic guest that's going to help you in your business. We have Ann Hession. Now, Ann, this is really a great story. She helps healers, solopreneurs who are allergic to sales. I mean, how many people can say that? I think a lot of people. And as she's a medical intuitive energy healer for over 30 years. She's a sales expert who personally sold millions of dollars of programs and services. She's uniquely qualified to help other healers, coaches, and heart-based business owners transform your relationships to sales, confidently and easily grow your business without ever feeling salesy, fake, or pushy. Please welcome Ann.
So good to be here.
Great to have you. I mean, one of the questions, that was a phenomenal, you gave us a great introduction of what you do. And tell us, it's like, I know a lot of heart-based, and I'm going to say it, a lot of woo-woos.
I'm all about the woo-woo. I'm super woo-woo.
There you go. This is perfect.
Super grounded in like serious, like just no nonsense business skills and super woo-woo. So
That's it.
I'm both.
And this is a great thing because, believe it or not, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, they might not be the woo, but they have the exact same problem.
Yes, they do.
And that's sales. So tell us a little bit when you're talking to a coach, consultant, an intuitive business owner, because that's what they are, business owners. How do you get through break that barrier with them?
So, gosh, there's so much I could say about this. The first thing I want to say is that I absolutely believe that sales, and I specifically mean one-on-one sales, like just being able to have that one-to-one sales conversation. There's also selling from stage and selling to many and selling, all that's also important, right? But that's generally harder, right? So one-to-one sales is absolutely the single most important skill that you need in business. It just is, right? And a little bit of backing that up, we've probably all heard that stat about how most small businesses go out of business in the first 5 years, right? That stat's been around a long time. It's probably still very valid. Here's my take on that. So why, right? What is it that like puts them out of business around the time or before 5 years is up? So if they last that long, they last into the 3rd, 4th, 5th year, the reason why they can't go beyond that and they just either close shop or just kind of slowly die a slow death is because it's lack of marketing. It's because they never figured out their marketing message. They never figured out how to like reach beyond and, people who've never heard of them in a compelling way. So obviously marketing is really important too. The thing is, you can get a business going, then bring in revenue just by shaking your own network those first few years, just by connecting with people you already know and people they know, where you don't have to have such a great marketing message, right? Because the marketing is just about getting the eyeball.
Right.
You can get, you can have some success in the first year or 2 or 3 without figuring out your marketing message. And then you get to this point where you've exhausted the network. There's no more to get out of it. And if you didn't figure out your marketing message in that time, now you're screwed, because you have to have something that's going to, have people who have no other reason to reach, to pay attention to you, right? So that's why marketing will kill you in the first 5 years. Okay, but what's going to kill you in the first 3 years is that you don't know how to sell.
Okay.
Cash flow. Okay, so that's why sales is more important than marketing. Do you get it? And with the mistake, a lot of, especially solopreneurs, soulpreneurs, service-based, 1 or 2 person businesses, which is a huge industry nowadays, coaches, healers, and so forth. They tend to put all their focus on marketing at the beginning. And do you get why I just said that's the big mistake? Because marketing is just an expense. That's all it is. It's just an expense if you can't sell at the end of you got the eyeballs, Okay. So, but what I find is that the relationship of most people, and especially the kind of like the more woo-woo, the very, very heart-centered, the, yes, I need to make money, but I'm really mostly about changing the world people, which is me, by the way. Here's the deal. This is what I've come to learn. Their fundamental relationship to sales is avoidance.
Yep.
That is their fundamental, if you like really could sum up in one word, how they relate to sales is they just don't want to have to deal with it. They just want to like, can I just have a great website? Can I just have a podcast and do social media? Can't I just have a page that converts? Can I just do, right? And it's like, no, when you're starting out, none of that stuff really works because you don't know your message and you don't know you just got to bite the bullet and you got to learn how to sell what you do. And if you do, then later marketing becomes really key, becomes essential to grow beyond that because now you need more people to talk to. But so if that's you, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, if you're allergic to sales, you're just like sales, no, let's go the other way. So, I mean, you're asking like, how do I talk to people? Like, but that's part of it is just getting the reality and getting people to admit that that's what's happening.
Couldn't agree more. And I mean, I just had this conversation with one of my coaches today, and he's like, well, I've been running this pay-per-click ad. And I go, can I just take a stab in the dark on it? And I go, the way you're saying it, I bet it's not working. He's like, why? I mean, it just went right there.
Right, talking about it. Yeah, totally.
Like, here, like, how'd you know? He skipped.
Let me go out on a limb here.
It's your message. What's your headline say? What's your subheadline say? Is your image matching those two statements? And he just said, you could just see the look on his face, like, And I go, what are you going to do with them on the next step? And he's like, I don't understand. I go, that's critical. You got him in the door. Now what?
Now what, right? You need to know how to sell marketing that, once you're talking about big multinationals and, or even local, but like bigger businesses who have figured out the marketing, that's when you might start to have a place where you have an ad that just does sell, right? Like people just buy, but when you're starting out, it just doesn't happen because you don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to say the things that will move people from being, you don't even know actually, which is really all what marketing is supposed to be. You don't even know what to say to get them interested. You don't even know what to say to get them to pay any attention to it all. They estimate like most of us are exposed to several thousand marketing messages a day.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you aware of being of the fact that you're getting thousands of marketing messages a day? No, because you're not paying attention to hardly any of them.
Because you brought up a great point. This is something I teach all the time. It's like, who's your target market? Because you're just spraying and praying. And that's what a lot of this marketing is.
Yeah. No, yeah, so much of it, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's a fundamental mistake for most people when they're starting out in business, or even I think, to have all their focus on marketing. Your focus needs to be on sales. And that means talking to people. Yeah. And here's the great thing. First of all, sales is the only part of your business that makes you money.
That's it.
And so if you're, again, maybe I get back. So if you're allergic to sales, if you don't like sales, if you're like if you get that from what I'm saying, like, oh my God, that's me, I've been trying to avoid sales. You got to get like the reality check here. You're avoiding the only part of your business that makes money.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're so not alone. You're so not alone, right? So I'm not meaning to be like, don't beat yourself up. It's just like, it's so common. But if you don't ever get that, you're going to just keep doing it. And then you're going to wonder why you're not making any money, right? So you got to just embrace it. And you got to actually learn how to do sales, which is a skill. And that's the fundamental thing that what I teach when I do with people in my courses and stuff is actually teach them how to do what I would call heart-centered sales, soulful sales, where you get to be authentic and you get to really be yourself and it doesn't feel slimy and gross and all that stuff that you have in your mind about what sales is. Because that's a big reason why people are avoiding it is because they have it like salespeople, sales is gross and yucky, right? So to me, it kind of comes down to two things. There's your attitude, beliefs, your context for sales and what sales is. And I would call that the inner game. That's the inner stuff. right? It's kind of like the limiting beliefs and limiting stuff that you're experiencing. So there's that. And then there's what I think of as the outer game, which is actually learning the skills of sales. Okay. If you just do learn the skills, like you're just, I know sales is awful and I don't want to do it, but I'm just going to learn it. Right. Then what happens is you go and you take a sales course, and it might be an amazing sales course. Okay. It might be great. There's tons of great sales courses out there because it's a set of skills. So you might do that. But then when you go try to practice and you try to talk to people, it's still going to feel gross. It's going to feel inauthentic. You're going to be like, it's just not me. I just suck at sales. That's just how it is. Because you didn't take on the fact that your whole context, your whole view, everything about sales sucks, right? It's very disempowering. It's like sales is manipulation. Sales is lying. Sales is persuading and convincing people. Sales is pushy, right? If you have all of that, it doesn't matter these skills because it's going to feel gross the whole time. Right. Conversely, though, if you do, and most of us woo-woo people err on this side, okay. Oh, I'm just going to clear everything. I'm just going to I'm just going to clear that stuff. And I'm going to, we're going to work. I'm going to change my mindset and I'm going to do and all that. And I'm saying in this place, but like, that's power. You got to do that. Okay. Right. But if you only do that and then you don't also learn the skills, that's not going to get you any sales either. Right. So you got to do both. You have to shift mindset. And there's a lot of ways that people can help you with that. But you also got to be willing to actually learn how sales works. It's a process. It's a set of skills. And anybody can learn it. Look, if you think you can't, like people weren't born good at sales. Some people might have had a bit of a natural aptitude, but nobody with the best salespeople in the world have done a ton of training. Right. And you learn how to ride a bike, you learn how to play an instrument or play a sport, and you can learn sales. I mean, it's really that simple.
It is. It's just like everything else. It's a skill.
Yeah. And we're going to learn it and practice it. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We're going to take a quick break. Get a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Ann and talk about that heart-centered sales. I know that evil word, but how to overcome it? Because, folks, I'm telling you, she's telling you it's not an ugly thing. It's a good thing in your business. So
it can be amazing.
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Spotlight Books. Get your expert book completed in 30 days. If you don't have an expert lead magnet book about you and how you serve your market, then visit www.spotlight-books.com. Link is also in the show notes. Put a spotlight on your expertise.
And we're back. We're talking about sales and heart-centered sales. So it's not sleazy and good. And stop being allergic to sales, because that's what's actually driving your business. I mean, one thing you brought up that we were just talking about. You own a restaurant and you're so proud. You love cooking so much, but then you don't charge for it. How long are you going to be around? Landlord doesn't take high fives for payment. So we were talking about heart-centered sales and being you. Can you give us a little bit more about being you? Because there's a lot of people who are coming up, hey, buy my stuff, versus here's my story.
Yeah, and I said it really, honestly, this is what I would say. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make, biggest sort of misconceptions, is thinking like a subconscious belief that you can't be yourself and sell effectively, right? And it's operating beneath the surface, but it's really, if that's there, if underneath the surface you're like, because you think sales is gross and yucky and lying and all that stuff, and that's not who you are and that's not who you want to be, but then there's selling has to happen, so that it kind of conflicts, right? So then you have this subconscious belief that once selling is coming up, when selling is on the table in the conversation, you have to become someone else, right? Like, ooh, I got to switch hats now. I got to put my sales hat on, right? And then you just get weird, okay? And there's a couple of reasons why you get weird. One of them is you're still caught up in these beliefs about how that sales is gross and yucky and you can't do it, so you got to be someone else. And then like you're gone, right? You're not being you. You're gone from the conversation, right? So someone's been having this great conversation with you and thinking they might want to work with you, and then maybe the belief could get triggered by they ask the price, or they ask about how to work with you, or they ask about what kind of results people get, or whatever, right? And suddenly you're like, oh no, it's sales now, right? And you're gone.
Right.
Okay. But so one of the reasons why that happens, why you stop being yourself, is because of that subconscious belief. Okay. And by the way, our subconscious is totally what's running the show.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to put this out there. So they estimate that our subconscious mind can process 20 million pieces of information per second. Every second of your life. Okay. Conscious mind, maybe 40 things per second. Yeah. So you tell me,
who's in control?
Who's really in charge here? And by the way, the person you're talking to, the potential client or customer, it is not their conscious mind that makes the decision to purchase from you or not. Not even a little. They might think it is. It's not. The decision to purchase or not purchase happens in their subconscious too, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like if you're like, oh, woo-woo, it's like, honestly, it's science, right? Like that's where the action is. So anyway, so one of the reasons you stop being you is because you have that belief or something really similar to that, running the show, okay? Another is you don't have the skills.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're put in a situation where a certain set of skills is required and you don't have them, and then you just try to get through it anyway, it rarely goes well. Right. It's sort of like if you suddenly you're on stage and the curtain goes up and there's you and a piano and you don't know how to play piano. How's that going to go? Right. So, you can't be yourself. It's very challenging to be yourself.
You might be someone else.
Some people might be able to pull it off. Like, hey guys, I don't know. But so it's just when you have again, it comes back to that inner and outer, right? When you have those limiting beliefs and you don't have the skills, you're dead in the water. You can't be yourself. And so, and being yourself is actually what it comes down to it's really the most important thing. Whether the sales happens or not, but you can't when those two things are missing, or when the limiting belief is present and the skills are missing.
I agree. It's funny. I mean, years ago, one of my coaches said, you're a kind of a quirky. That's the word we're using around here. It's quirky for me. And I said, well, I'm kind of fun and throw in those jokes every now and then. They're like, that's the way you have to be all the time. Be you. Once I was me, my business got a lot easier. Sales were happening a lot more. It's like, you either love me, you hate me, you're indifferent. I don't care. And I need to move on, but I'm not going to be someone I'm not and be fake.
Exactly.
And once I really let my quirkiness come out, it's like, hey, I got great clients, clients I want to work with.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about why it's so important, this is about sales, it's about marketing, it's about business in general. Yeah. Here's the thing is, it is so essential to be yourself. And by the way, I'm not saying being yourself is easy.
No.
Okay. Sometimes I think that's the biggest thing we're engaged in, business aside, right? But probably the most important thing we're engaged in our whole lives is learning how to just get out of our own crap and be ourselves, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that there are things that are making it harder. Mm-hmm. That if you address those, it's going to be a lot easier to just be yourself in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And being you and having people who want to come to you because you're showing them who you really are is not only does that sound nice and it's sweet and heart and all that stuff, it's also a freaking competitive advantage no one can take away from you.
That's it.
Because no one else will do. So.
Like my coach says, do you, because no one else can do you.
Yeah. But Oscar Wilde, I think it was Oscar Wilde who said, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
That's it. Well, I got to tell everyone, it's like Ann and I started bumping into each other in other circles. And it's like every time we'd bump into each other, I'm like, there's something about her. And I don't know, hopefully she said the same thing. Maybe, hey, that guy's quirky. I don't know. But
Quirky Turkey. I like Quirky Turkey.
That's why I had to have her on here, because she just recently did this challenge and I was very impressed with it and I helped promote it. And it was the last minute, but it did phenomenal. And I'm thinking, I got to have her share her word. And that's why she's here today. And I know she knows I'm a giver and I know she's a giver. What is something that you can provide our listeners here to help them in their business?
I'm so glad you asked. so no, I'm happy to give you guys this this free gift. It's really a training. It's like just in PDF form, easy to digest. Okay. But it really is, it's deceptively simple, right? It's a very in-depth training on like how to have a freaking sales conversation that's authentic and from the heart. It doesn't feel pushy or salesy. And more importantly, it's going to show you there's a mistake that almost everybody makes at the very beginning of a sales conversation that kills the conversation off. And so this trains about that. It's called Sales Conversation Secrets. So Steve's going to give you guys a link to be able to download that. But what it's going to talk about is what I call the tell me more trap. Okay? Here's what the tell me more trap is. You're talking with someone. They might have specifically come to you like, they're a lead per se, right? Or maybe you just met them like at a party or something, and the talk got to your, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. But at some point, they're expressing some interest. And they're saying, tell me more. I mean, it might not be those exact words, but they're inviting you to tell me more. How does that work? Tell me more about that. How'd you get into that? Right? How do you help people? Right? They're asking you to tell them more. What do most people do right then?
They're going to do it.
They start telling them more, right?
That's it.
Just ask. And what they usually do, what most people do, is they fire hose the other person with information. Right. They jump to, oh my God, they're interested. Someone's asking me what I do. Oh, right. And they start to, and especially if you are like that sort of heart-centered solopreneur, like me, coaches, could we talk about what we do for hours? Right, because we love it. It's endlessly fascinating to us, right? We could do everything. So like how we get trained and how we found it in our own journey, and we could go on their eyes are, they're like, oh my God, right? Okay, so if you get, and you want to download it because I'll go in a lot more detail, but if you get nothing else, okay, the worst thing you can do when someone in that situation asks you to tell them more is to start telling them more. That's the worst thing you can do. Here's why. You don't know why they asked. Right. You don't know why they want to know more. They might just be being polite. They might be asking for someone else. They might have, like in my case, as like an energy healer, they might have no interest in that, but they've got a cousin who's into it. And so they're kind of like, oh, maybe I'll ask her. Like, you don't know, okay? You have no idea. So write this one down, okay? When someone asks you some version of tell me more, this you want to respond with, and you literally might want to do this word for word or come up with your own way of saying it. But it's basically, I'd love to, but first let me ask what interests you about that. Like, seriously, if that's the only thing you change, and in this training, I teach you 4 or 5, depending on the circumstance, additional steps, okay? Like how you really handle the whole tell me more trap. But that's step 1. And if that's the only thing you change, your conversations are going to be so much better and you're going to make more sales. I guarantee it.
Excellent. Yeah, we will have that link in the show notes. So please take advantage of Ann's fantastic offer. Let's help you grow your business. That's what this is all about. And I want to say thank you very much for being our guest here on Biz Coach and Coffee.
You are welcome. So
everyone else,
awesome to be here with you.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share it with your friends because we're here to help. And this is Biz Coach Steve Feld wishing you and your business much success.
We hope you enjoyed today's topic. If you'd like to discuss how you can apply these strategies in your business, let us know. This episode is sponsored by Spotlight. Get your own expert book written about you in 30 days. Set yourself apart from the competition. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Also, feel free to give us your comments. We look forward to hearing from you on Biz Coach and Coffee.